If you have ever wanted to experience what true panic is like in politics, look no further than Republican Washington insiders, good old boys, fat cats, lobbyists, liars, and the Hillary Clinton campaign. New Hampshire has put the fear of political God into everybody. From the GOP side of things, this means time has really come to band together and find that one candidate, one who can beat Donald Trump, the man they all fear. However, are they already too late to stop the Donald? The left and right political traveling roadshow and motor kings have already descended upon South Carolina, where the cliche is a bloodbath is coming. Let's be the people who drop the hyperbole tire iron and talk some reality here, okay? From those who need to be already home and walking away from the race, to those who banked on the Florida senator and are now feeling their own sense of burn. Welcome to the contact sport. I'm Ed Berliner. This is the Hardline for Wednesday, February 10th, 2016.
We have to keep up with every fiber of our being the argument for, the campaign for human rights as women's rights, human rights as gay rights, human rights as worker rights, human rights as voting rights, human rights across the board for every single American.
Now, the one thing that they fall back on is this idea that as the race moves on now to South Carolina and Nevada, which are states that are more racially diverse, that she will do better among Hispanics and among black voters. And that certainly has been the conventional wisdom. I think you're going to see Bernie Sanders really making a play for those voters.
So let's talk conventional wisdom, shall we? The standard thinking by some of those with nothing better to do than push an agenda has been that no matter who wins the Democratic nomination, it will be easy pickings against whomever the Republicans come up with. What happened in New Hampshire has proven how ridiculous that thinking could really be. She has got a ton of cash and the name, but even insiders are talking about the disarray now shaking the Hillary Clinton camp. How they believe white people in New Hampshire failed to do what blacks in South Carolina will bring to the table. And now one candidate is kissing up to a known liar and con artist to bring some phony cred to the table. Wait a minute. Did I forget to mention how smart women everywhere are? And how they are calling out Mrs. Clinton at a rate nobody really expected? Let's start there. Let's welcome in the veteran journalist, former South Carolina journalist, now senior contributor at the Federalist, D.C. McAllister, joined by columnist at the Daily Beast, Barrett Holmes Pitner. Want to thank you both for joining us. Barrett, good seeing you again. And I want to get right to you on this because
nice seeing you.
While we were doing the New Hampshire primary coverage last night, there were some tweets going around that basically indicated that people in the Hillary Clinton camp were saying, oh, what happened in New Hampshire was because of white voters. Don't worry, we get to South Carolina and the black voters there will turn it all around. They will be the ones to put Mrs. Clinton on track. Matter of fact, here it is from Howard Fineman talking about a top Clinton aide. Blacks will have our back. Barrett, is there any reason to believe that black people will really fall for Hillary Clinton when she has been talked about as being one of the biggest liars on the campaign trail in the last few months?
I think the African-American electorate it's not a monolith. So each candidate's going to have to sell how they will present themselves and what they can do to benefit the black community individually. I don't think there's a guarantee from Bill Clinton's appeal to the African-American electorate or anything in particular that's going to give Hillary the definite win with the black voters. It's all about how you relate to the African-American voters, what your policies are, and if we feel you can make the changes to benefit America and to benefit the black community. But I don't think it's a surefire that any one person is definitely going to get it.
So then there comes a point. I agree with you entirely. Just thinking that whomever anybody is, whatever race, creed, color, religion, makes no difference, that you're automatically going to vote for someone, that's completely wrong in so many senses. Why is it then, though, that when you hear these people, you hear people inside the Clinton campaign, they believe they've got it knocked, walk away from us?
Well, essentially, the Clinton campaign, like Bill Clinton, has a long history of being quite popular amongst African Americans. So to make a basic assumption that popularity will transition over to Hillary, I can understand someone making that. But at the end of the day, they're two different candidates. They're going to be, Bill's not going to be the president. Hillary's going to be would be the president if she won. So each individual candidate, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, has to appeal to the black electorate individually. And I don't think the connections from the 1990s are going to be a definite guarantee that black voters will show up, especially considering, there's a lot of more younger millennial black voters who only know America with Obama being president. They don't really have a recollection of Bill Clinton as president.
DC, let's talk about the women's vote right now, because it's obvious a lot of women are leaving Hillary Clinton. I mean, look, Hillary Clinton, the only demographic that she won in New Hampshire was people over the age of 65. Young women are running from her in droves, yet there still is that thinking process inside their campaign. Don't worry about it. Mrs. Clinton, because she is a female, she will recapture that audience. I think that's rather insulting, actually.
It's very insulting, but she's really counting on that. But it's not going to work with the younger women because she's not the kind of feminist they want. They are looking for someone who's more intersectional, who wants to really address racism that's in the institutions. And Hillary's an old school feminist who's more about equality for all under the law and opportunities. And she's not the kind of feminist who's addressing homosexual and racist and these other kind of issues that are so tied to feminism these days. And so the younger voters are really looking more to someone who's going to address the more intersectional type feminism and address the bigger issues. And they just don't like the white privilege that Hillary Clinton has. And so they look to Bernie Sanders and they really like his message and he appeals to them more, and you just see that. I just want to say a word about the black voters, and they just know Hillary Clinton a lot better. So she is relying on them because she is losing this younger demographic. And so she's really counting on that group because they know her, they're familiar with her. They don't really know Bernie Sanders, and he doesn't have a good relationship with Black Lives Matter, and he goes to Al Sharpton, who doesn't have a good relationship with them either. So she's really counting on that because she's going to lose the women's vote.
There's something else in there, DC, because no matter who we're talking about, whether it's the women's vote, the African-American vote, whatever, and now we're showing the video of Bernie Sanders meeting with Al Sharpton. I'll talk about that here in just a moment. But it's insulting to anybody to think that right now anybody would want to look at Mrs. Clinton's record, because she has been hammered with truth, with facts about a tremendous amount of lies. That's the thing on the campaign trail right now, DC. They're talking about the fact she can't say anything without lying. And just to assume that somebody's going to vote for her simply because they have a great record with her or they voted for her before, that's insulting in so many different ways.
Well, but in South Carolina, she's beating Sanders by like 55 points in the black community. And so it bears out in the numbers. And I know that the polling said that they wanted someone who's trustworthy in New Hampshire. And they don't find Hillary Clinton to be trustworthy. Her likability numbers are very low. But yet she is familiar. She's tied to Barack Obama. This group likes Barack Obama's policies and wants to see more of those and even broadened and become more liberal. And so she's going to continue to say how much she's tied to his policies. She's going to use her relationship with the black community that her husband has. And, it is a very strong relationship that he has with them. And I wouldn't discount that. I mean, relationships are part of politics. So it's not just about the principles.
I got about 2 minutes left. I want to split this between the two of you. Barrett, let me come to you first and talk about the right side here. Donald Trump, big win coming out of New Hampshire right now. And I have heard words like inevitable when they already talk about the Republican presidential nomination. Do you think that the possibility that the GOP coalesces right now, they bring everybody together? They got to throw some people out. Look, Fiorina is out today. Christie is out today. But the rest that are there, they got to pick one who can beat Donald Trump. Can any one of them beat Donald Trump on his own?
Well, I think right now it's Donald Trump versus the establishment. So the candidate who is picked to go against Donald Trump, he's going to be having the support of the GOP at large, I would guess. So it's not a case of whether one person can beat Donald Trump on his own. It's going to be, the GOP establishment against Donald Trump, and we'll just have a candidate.
Is there any candidate there that you can see that you think could be the one or has a chance?
Right off the top of my head, I really can't say anyone that I think has definitely shown and got the energy that Donald Trump has gotten the energy from the GOP electorate. But it's a long, drawn out process, and no one expected Donald Trump to be this significant. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else surprised anybody.
DC, what do you think? 30 seconds.
I think the establishment lane is closed. I think that the only two candidates that matter in this race are Trump and Ted Cruz. I mean, Kasich isn't going anywhere after New Hampshire, and the donor class will not rally around Rubio because he lost so badly, and Jeb just won't be able to challenge because Kasich and Rubio are in the race. So they're kind of chasing their tails. They're not going to be able to build any kind of coalition around one candidate who can beat Donald Trump, and the only one who possibly could is Cruz, and the establishment's not going to tolerate that, and neither is the media, and Trump will win.
And exactly what a lot of people are saying. They had their chance and they lost it. Well, it's only 2 states. We got a long way to go, and we're going to talk to you both a lot more between now and November. Barrett Holmes Pitner and D.C. McAllister, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Now, one issue that will be talked about post-New Hampshire is what many see as an obvious shill job performed by a major broadcast network on behalf of a GOP candidate. A number of respected political pundits correctly calling Marco Rubio a big loser in the final numbers, and he's not the only one. Now, as we hear from Miranda Khan, Fox News may be the ones wiping egg from their faces and proving to viewers they have no qualms about doing what they can to change the course of a presidential race. This by openly promoting the junior senator from Florida and then being forced to watch him collapse and finish in 5th place.
Some political pundits say that Marco Rubio may not be the only big loser Tuesday night, and Fox News may be wiping some egg off its face for promoting the junior senator, only to find him come in 5th place. Just think back to the last Fox News debate. Breitbart recently pointed out the 5 basic questions Megyn Kelly forgot to ask Marco Rubio.
You are very smooth. Your acceptance, not acceptance, but your remarks last night were amazing. So now that you're, we got the Marco momentum, as they call it.
Also, the National Journal recently shined a light on Rubio's close ties with Fox pollster Frank Luntz, writing this: Frank Luntz plays favorites with Marco Rubio. What they probably don't know about is Luntz's close relationship with Rubio over the years, and how Rubio paid Luntz's firm $250,000 to produce and promote a book that Rubio used to improve his statewide name recognition in Florida a decade ago. And here's a comment that we received about our coverage last night. This one comes from Lynn in Clinton, Washington. I have never watched your live feed before, but you guys are great. Loved the Dick Morris commentary, dropping the bomb about Fox being not so fair and balanced and pushing Rubio. Keep up the good work because you guys are fair and balanced. And we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at newsmaxtv.com/comments.
Do that. Tell us exactly what you think. And we'll be back right here on The Hardline.